improved the credibility of English football in how it's perceived around the world. But ultimately, until you win that trophy, then there will always be those questions, both abroad and at home, about what we've done.
Hi there, welcome along to Sky Sports News live from Berlin in front of the Brandenburg Gate with 48 hours to go until England face Spain, and Gareth Southgate aims to get football immortality and end 58 years of hurt. We're also going to hear live as well from Ollie Watkins as he tells us what the opposition is going to be like against England on Sunday. Okay, now to a new interview now with the man who could lead England to football immortality, and Gareth Southgate ending 58 years of hurt. He's been speaking today. He's desperate to land the trophy the nation craves, but he says the emotion of the occasion needs to be controlled by the players. Southgate's future is also a talking point at the moment, but the England manager wants to bat that away and focus on football with Sunday's huge football final looming over him.
To have reached the first final in 50 plus years was enormous, and yeah, we're now in a different moment as a team, 2 tournaments on, a lot more big match experience. So I guess there was less of a celebration, perhaps, less satisfaction at reaching a final. I don't say it becomes run-of-the-mill, but it's a little bit more normal for us, and that statement in itself is probably a bit ridiculous given our history.
How would you characterise the squad under your control? Is there a way you can characterise that?
Well, each tournament has been different. Each squad has been different. This squad, half of them had never been to a tournament before, so yeah, they'll be viewing it in a different way to the guys that have been with us now for 4 tournaments and who've been knocking on the door of winning a trophy. But that's brought a nice dynamic because you've got players who know what's been needed to get to this point and have learned how to win. And you've got guys that just think that's what we do anyway, and they've got no inhibitions. So what's impressed me is how well they've come together as a new group in such a short period of time, and the strength and resilience they've found to score the late goals, to get through the penalty shootout. Yeah, to get the country to the point they are now.
Gareth, a big moment awaits for the nation. You seem to have proved many of those pundits and fans who might have questioned you wrong with your selections and substitutions. How tough is it coping with the pressure, the magnitude of the occasion? And as an English patriot, do you see this as trying to deliver a defining moment for the nation?
Well, definitely. I took the job to try to help English football improve. I know what it would mean not only to general public in England, but particularly to people involved in English football, from those that develop young players to those that run clubs, to every level of the game, really. I think we've improved the credibility of English football in how it's perceived around the world, but ultimately, until you win that trophy, then there will always be those questions, both abroad and at home, about what we've done.
Before this tournament, you said that you would walk away if you didn't win it. Despite all the personal toll on you and your family, given the exciting players available now to you, how difficult would it be to walk away, especially if you win the final?
Well, nothing's that difficult, but emotionally it would be impossible for me to make a logical decision at the moment on any of that, because my sole focus for 2 years has been winning this tournament. The last 5-6 weeks have been an absolute roller coaster, so I don't actually know where I am with anything other than very focused on preparing the team for this game, and determined to keep leading them in the way we have over the last month.
Gareth, I've known you a long time.
And seeing you roar with that release of emotion in the semi-final after beating the Netherlands and saying one more, seeing the way you belt out the national anthem every time before an England game, I don't think I've ever met a prouder Englishman than you. And you know this nation will come to a standstill on Sunday night to watch you and the team. Do you feel those eyes on you?
Well, you're aware of it, of course, but it's not what you think about going into the game. You've got to keep a professional focus, a bit of a detachment from the enormity of the occasion, if you like, because it would be easy to be overwhelmed by that. But actually, when you break it down into the bits that you're in control of and the bits you have to affect and the bits you have to focus on, then it's a much simpler task.
The emotion will be obvious for the players and for you, though, won't it? It'll be a very emotional occasion.
Well, we have to make sure that we manage emotions well, because big matches, you might not have to perform to a level you've never been at before. You know, to be able to perform at your best in big matches is often an achievement. A lot of people are inhibited in them, so we've got to make sure we're well prepared. I think the team are improving. They've grown in confidence. They've definitely grown in resilience and belief from the experiences they've been through in this tournament. And we're looking forward to the challenge.
And regarding Spain, you've said they're the best team in the tournament. I think other people have said that as well. How do you beat them? Yeah,
we've got to make sure that tactically we're close to perfect. They've been excellent with the ball, but they've been excellent without the ball as well. You know, they're a team. They work for each other. Their pressing is very well coordinated. But every team has strengths and every team has some weaknesses, and our job is to be prepared for their strengths and to go and exploit their weaknesses.
It's interesting, isn't it? It's almost like the elephant in the room, really, in terms of what Gareth Southgate does. Come what may, at the end of Sunday, win, does he stay on? Lose, does he bow out with his head held high? What do you think he's going to do, Carl?
I think if he spoke to most journalists who follow the England team around, they would all say that they expect Gareth Southgate to leave after the final. Now, I think the curveball in that could be if England win the Euros, because if Harry Kane lifts the trophy here in Berlin on Sunday, obviously then England would go home. There would be mass celebrations back in England. Gareth Southgate, I think, would probably get a knighthood. I think Harry Kane would get one as well. And then I think Gareth Southgate would have to think long and hard about what he wants to do. Would he really walk away after becoming European champions, after becoming the first England manager to win a major trophy for 58 years? Or would he take a few days out, speak to his family, speak to his friends and say, you know what, we're European champions, I think I can make England world champions as well. The World Cup is in 2 years' time, USA, Mexico, Canada, all these great young players coming through, the experienced players as well. I'll sit down with the FA and I'll sign a new contract because my present contract runs out in December. But I think we've got to give Gareth the time and the space to make that decision, because he said it there himself. He said the last few weeks have been a real roller coaster for him. He's not in the right frame of mind to make a decision about his future. But the facts are his contract runs out in December. After Sunday, I think England's next game is in 2 months' time against Ireland. So he's got some time to decide what he wants to do. And the crucial thing is, every single person who works at the FA wants him to stay. So the FA will be saying, please, Gareth, we want you to stay, please sign a new contract. But I think if he says, no, that's it, it's time for me to leave, I think, of course, he would go leave with the FA's best wishes, even if England lose on Sunday. But I think they would respect that, because they understand what he's been through and how much this job takes out of you.
Could this tournament potentially be like the best and worst that he's experienced, in terms of, he's had plastic cups thrown at him during the tournament? I think that's an all-time low. It's got to be for Gareth Southgate. How do you think he'll reflect on it, even right now, if he's reflecting on getting them to the final? Is he sitting there thinking, this has been a brilliant tournament, or is he thinking, actually, it hasn't gone to plan?
I think he'll just be very, very tired. Even if England win, of course, there'll be the euphoria of winning, an incredible achievement. But it takes so much out of you. You know, he is like carrying the hopes of, you know, England on his shoulders. Every decision he makes, every starting 11 he picks, every training session, every substitution he makes, every little thing that he does, people are watching, everyone's got an opinion on it. And now in the social media age and the digital age, everyone is expressing that opinion, and it's very tiring for him. That is why I think a lot of people think he deserves a break. It's understandable if he has a break. I still think he's got a lot to offer football. I think he'd be an excellent club manager. I think he'd be an excellent international manager of a different country as well. But I think it would be best for English football if he stayed and signed a new contract, especially if England win on Sunday.
It's that continuity, isn't it, going forward? I mean, how impressive. You know, he has got a plethora of talent, hasn't he, here on Sunday? This is a team that looks, on paper, is better than we've ever had before in terms of England.
And also the players who've been left out. I mean, some of the players who've been left out, what are they thinking? I mean, I know a lot of people are saying, where's Jack Grealish? I mean, you go around Germany, there are adverts for various brands with Jack's face on it.
Marcus Rashford.
He's not even here. Marcus Rashford, Raheem Sterling, you know, Jordan Henderson, Ben White. You know, we all know the issues with him, but what a fantastic player he is. There are a lot of players at home who you would have to say, on the balance of probabilities, probably deserve a place in this squad as well. But Gareth Southgate, I know it was controversial when he made some of the picks he made for his squad, but they were absolutely the right picks. And you know, when we've got opinions, we are basing our opinions on what we see at games or on TV, or when we spend a few minutes with managers and players. That's what we base our opinions on. We don't have all the data and information that people like Gareth Southgate have. And, you know, sometimes I think you just have to say, I don't know as much as he does. He's a professional footballer, manager. He's been working in the game for, 30, 40 years. He knows more than I do. And I think it's fine for us to have an opinion, but it's just an opinion. We are not, we don't own all the data and information and experience that people like Gareth Southgate have accrued over years and years working in top flight football.
Just talk us through what it's like, you know, because we've got Gareth Southgate, we're hearing from him there, and he's being very open and very honest about...
Raw.
That's a good word.
Raw,
That's a good word to use. He is being very raw, isn't he? And that's not something we kind of associate with England. We associate the kind of closed doors of these.
Well, we were talking about siege mentality. Is there a siege mentality? Absolutely not, because that interview, series of interviews, because Gareth Southgate there was talking to, you know, news organisations, non-rights holders. He doesn't have to do that at all. Contractually, Gareth Southgate just has to speak to the media one day before games and after games as well, to rights holders. So that is something extra we're getting from him. Why is he doing that? I think because he recognised the fact that this is such a big game for the country, and he wants to speak to everybody, you know, news organisations as well. So he's being very open. He has been hurt. He said it's been a roller coaster for the past couple of weeks.
I want to interrupt you there, because he talks about this unusual environment, doesn't he? He's been quoted as saying it's an unusual environment for these players. Can you elaborate on that unusual environment? Is that because the fans have almost kind of...
You know what? I think we're talking about the digital sphere. We're talking about is it a podcast sphere or an audio sphere or a broadcasting sphere? I think that's what we're talking about, because the environment here for Gareth Southgate and his players is perfect. Could not be better. The reporters and the journalists who follow England around, who are based here as well, by and large, they're not being negative.
No.
Most of the columns and pieces I read that they're writing and the questions that they ask, they're being very supportive. There's a fine line between being a cheerleader and being a journalist, and the English media are not cheerleaders at all. They are journalists first and foremost. When performances have been bad, they've criticised the performance, but they have, in my opinion at least, I haven't read everything that's been written, but what I've read has not crossed the line. I think what we're talking about when we talk about the environment has changed. I think that is the noise in the digital sphere, is that what you call it?
I don't know.
I know.
Yeah, I think I know what you
Snapchat and TikTok and all that kind of stuff that
for the
that
kids.
Podcasts, whatever they are.
Okay. And by the way, I think you make a terrible cheerleader, for the record. Look, stay with us. We'll have plenty more coming your way. We've heard from Ollie Watkins, haven't we, already? But we're going to hear at length from Declan Rice as well. That will be coming your way from 7 a.m. here on Sky Sports News tomorrow morning.